Left-handers, the elegant, the unorthodox, the game changers. From silky cover drives to devastating spells, cricket's greatest lefties have given us moments to remember. But who makes the cut for the ultimate all-time left-handed 11?
Today, we are diving into a spirited debate, crafting our own dream teams and battling it out for who deserves the spot. Will it be Lara or Gabbar, Starc or Akram? Get ready for some fiery arguments, bold picks, and a whole lot of left handed magic.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Reverse Sweep Show. Joining as ever, yours truly SS, and with me is my co-host AB. Another pod today. AB, how's it going?
Yeah, I just realized we are doing our ninth episode of the long format, and we're
Yeah,
already done with four episodes of the short format. So it's been a journey. And it's also been a journey on the cricket field for our team. I'm still remembering the first match against Australia in the BGT and that innings that Yashasvi Jaswal played along with KL Rahul. It was specifically refreshing for me because since a long period of time, having a left-handed batter in the entire batting lineup was a rarity for our team. And to see someone coming in and batting left-handed and then taking the attack to the opposition, that's quite refreshing for me. On that note, how's it going for you, SS?
yeah, it's been a fun week, both at workplace and also in my mind after that Indian win, after all the uh, tumultuous three test matches of the New Zealand's visit to India. And this has been quite refreshing, quite unexpected. And amidst all the plaudits that Bumrah continues to attract, um, Yashasvi Jaiswal's exploits have been much appreciated by Indian public as well, because unless and until a young batsman goes out and makes a stun in Australia, he doesn't get all that respect from the very finicky Indian fans. So it was great to see him. And also just looking historically back, it was Australia that used to command great left-handers in their teams of 2000s, Hayden, Langer, Lehman. And now we are beating them on all metrics, bat ball, and field, and now we are also beating them with better left-handers because there is also Pant in our lineup as well. So today we thought to do an episode around it. So AB, for the listeners, what is today's episode all about?
So we are entertaining our imaginations, our delusion, and we want to see if we have to create an all-time playing 11 of only left-handers, what would it look like? And this time, very similar to the last time we did a similar episode, we are doing a draft pick. So SS for everyone, what are the rules? What are the constraints?
Yeah, so there will be a hell lot of players to evaluate. I was looking historically back in 1900s, we used to have only 10% of players who deployed their primary skill, whether batting or bowling, as left, and now that number has grown to almost 30% in 2010. It was looked down upon from both cultural and historical perspectives. When you were lefty, you were trying to be mysterious, you were trying to be backhanded, but now it is considered to be not only great for matchups but also for team combinations. So we will look throughout the history, and just like our BGT draft pick, the first one who starts will only be having one pick. So last time it was AB who got one first pick. Today I will be getting the first pick. So I will get only one to choose from a plethora of options, which we will discuss and talk about. And then we will go on and off with each of us picking two picks, finally till we land at 11 players, and then we will also name our 12th player. Uh, and also we will be naming our captain and wicketkeeper as well. Uh, we will be trying to create a squad throughout the history of cricket, as I said, but also keeping in mind that it is for test conditions in general. But we are also placing some constraints around it. AB, what are those constraints?
So, for example, someone like a sort of Ganguly who bats left-handed but bowls right-handed, we cannot consider him as an all-rounder. We want players who bat lefty and also bowl lefty. So that's a huge constraint. Someone like a Ben Stokes, I can't take him as an all-rounder. Although even England team cannot take him as an all-rounder right now, but that's a big constraint. Anything else as that we should keep as a constraint?
Yeah, we should also name a coach, and a coach who is probably a left-handed coach. like we have, unlike his political allegiance. So yeah, we can also name a coach if you want. I already want to name Gautam Gambhir as a coach. We won a test match in Perth, so he's my coach already. So there you have it.
But we also lost at home after 12 long years.
Yeah, that's long forgotten now. We have short memories as we should have as cricket fans supporting India. But anyways, on that note, we should start cracking. Uh, so AB, you were nice enough to give me the first pick, and just for the viewers and listeners, there's a ton of options out there in terms of batters, bowlers, all-rounders, spinners. Uh, we will probably mention few names here and there when we think about our end. It would be good that we talk through it. Uh, so for me, as my first pick, I was confused whether I should look at an opener, as a fast bowler, as an all-rounder, because there is so much thought that we can put to it. There are also keepers as well. But I am going to pick the greatest ever all-rounder that has played the game. Um, or at least we were not fortunate enough to see him, but we have heard all the tales about it. So Sir Garfield Sobers is my first pick. He gives so much options for any conditions. He made some 8,000 runs at the average of 60. Um, he could bowl left arm medium pace. He could bowl left arm wrist spin, and he can also bowl slow left arm as well. Picked some 230 wickets as well. Amazing averages everywhere. He had a indecent start to his cricketing career. I think first 6 matches he made only 114 runs, but then made like 8,500 plus runs. Everyone regards him as one of the greatest cricketers that they ever saw. Placed them alongside Bradman and all. So Sobers for me, he would come at number 6 or number 7, depending on the combination that I get to. But Sir Garfield Sobers is my first pick, as he anyways should be in any team. So there you go, AB. I have drawn the first blood. I give you two picks now.
And I must admit, you stole my pick, SS. That would have been a no-brainer to pick Sir Garfield Sobers as the first pick. But now you put me in a spot because even I would have wanted to pick him. But
Mhm.
then I have someone in my mind who I would want to pick as my first pick, and that is Sanat Jasuria. I want
Wow.
him to open the batting for me. I want a top order that screams destruction, and then Sanat Jasuria can also give me useful overs with the ball. So I have that as my first pick. And for my
Wow.
second pick, now I'm a bit confused because there's so many players. I am trying to think what are the places where the options are a bit less, like a bit less. I will I will go for probably the best swing bowler the world has ever seen, the swing king, Wasim Akram. And we all know what he can do with the ball, but then he can also give me some useful runs with the bat. If I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
SS, he also has a double century to his name, right?
He has a 257 versus Zimbabwe's Sheikhupura. So his highest score is more than Sachin's highest score in Test cricket.
Yeah. So
And he has
those,
got, I think, four or two Test match hat tricks as well, I think. So he's
yeah,
like a legend of the game. 400 plus wickets.
yeah. And I feel that I can get a lot of left-handed good batters, but
Yeah.
none that competes with Wasim Akram when it comes to skills with the ball. So those are my two picks. What about you? Over to you for your next two picks.
Amazing second pick. I wrote Wasim Akram on my team because I was somehow guessing that you will not pick him for certain reason. You will pick a batter, and then I had to strike it off because you picked it. So amazing on that. Not so convinced by Sanat Jasuri. I don't think he was such an elite Test match cricketer. Averages around 40 in Test matches, and only I think he doesn't even have 100 Test wickets. But I understand your logic in modern game when you want to take the attack to the opposition. You want to do a Sehwag Warner kind of an assault. Jayasuriya could be a very, very fearsome batter to face. And if he gets going in these tough conditions that we now see in Test cricket, it could be curtains already for the bowling team. So
But he does have a triple century versus India.
he does. He made 340 in that infamous 954 game versus India. So yeah, yeah. I think I understand the fear of Jasuria in the 90s kids, and if you are interested in 90s kids, you should check out our hot take episode that we just published. All right, so I have now two picks, and you took my pick of Wasim Akram, so I will be looking at some stuff. I am looking at a wicket keeper right now. There were a couple of wicket keepers in my mind that I was looking into, but I will go for the more destructive one. Adam Gilchrist essentially changed the game, averages around 48, 49 in Test cricket, some 5,500 runs, but it's the aura that he carries. And you know he's going to be somebody you will not be falling asleep when he walks down at number seven. He has that fear factor. So Sobers and Gilchrist at six and seven, that's going to be really exciting. Number six and seven for me. I go for that. Uh, in terms of, I think you went for an opener. That gives me an idea that I want to also go for an opener because there are a lot of midfield options that we can pick. A lot of them actually. Um, there are many, I think, openers. I think we have. I don't want to give you too many names, but Hayden, Anwar, Cook, Warner, our coach or my coach, Gautam Gambhir, Graham Smith. So there are so many options. Uh, I will pick Cook as my opener. I want to solidify at least one proper opener in my team. He was at one time uh, on the way to break Sachin's record. He did not, and he's actually right-handed by his in his normal life. So he's a left-handed, but we don't want his normal life. We want his cricketing life over here. Um, the biggest thing about Cook that I can say is that when English cricketing history is retold, he's the guy who made the max runs and man of the series in the series they won down under and in the series that they won in India. That was the impact that he had. 600, 700 runs down under and 500 plus runs in India. So very happy with Cook as my he retired too early. He continued to make a lot of runs in county. So Cook and Gilchrist are my two picks. Over to you now, AB.
I must say those are two really solid picks. Gilchrist, the best wicketkeeper batter that we have seen. MSD maybe after him, but then that is still a big debate. But then MSD is definitely not being considered and definitely not in tests. We are looking at left-handers. So I got to give it to you. You stole that pick again. Cook, I would say, there are a lot of left-handed openers
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we have available. So I don't mind giving Cook to you.
hmm
Uh, yeah. So coming to my next set of options. Now I'm really looking at some solid batters. I want to pick Matthew Hayden as my second opener. As I said, I want my top order to scream destruction, and I really am happy having Sana Jasuria and Hayden in my team for that. The second player that I want to look at, okay, now this is where I'm also thinking a little, and I need to evaluate whether I want to pick a middle order batter, a lower order batter, or say an all rounder, because you have definitely taken the best all rounder in the list. But I think,
And the best wicket keeper as well.
and the best wicketkeeper as well. I think I would want to solidify my batting further. My second pick would be Sangakkara, and he
It's a
can,
proper pick.
yeah, proper pick, and also someone who can bat and keep. So
Yeah.
that gives me two things. He can bat at number three for me, and also keep the wickets.
I think that's a solid pick. I completely missed the fact that Sangakkara can also keep because we focus so much on his batting. He averages around 58 or something, and he could have carried on and made an average of 60. I think Sangakkara, as your wicket keeper, I think you stole on that one. That's a very nice pick, actually. Uh, and I think a team can live without Gilchrist if you have Sangakkara, pretty much.
True. Now over to USS for your next two picks.
Yeah, now since you are done with the openers, I don't need to worry about it because will not need to get three openers. So I will leave my openers for it, and I will like to beef up my middle order, and I need to neutralize your Sangakkara pick. I pick I mean, I'm not his biggest fan because probably as an Indian, we did not see the best of him versus us. But I think it's very difficult to ignore Prince of Trinidad. I think Brian Lara, just because of Lara on his Sunday was like the best cricketer going around and batter when he had his moments. Ask Australia, ask Australian fans, and you'll get to know. Ask Muralidharan and the famous series when he went to Sri Lanka and smoked Murli all around and came up with an average of 70 or 80 when Windies lost the series 3-0. So Lara, and he can come at number four for me. So at least I have some pedigree in terms of batting. I'm looking at now bowling because I do not have any bowlers right now, and I haven't picked any fast bowler so far. But actually, I will still leave the fast bowler. I'm taking some risks over there. I'm going for the greatest left arm spinner that has played in terms of statistically. It's Harangana Herath, has 433 wickets at a decent enough average of 27. He picked up a 9 for in South Africa when Sri Lanka first won a test match in South Africa. He's done pretty well in Australia as well. And when Murli retired, he took on the mantle. He's a workhorse. If we are playing in away seaming conditions, he can block the runs, choke the runs. So, and he's my number 11. So, Rangana Herath is my 11 and my sole specialist spinner.
Solid picks there, SS again. Lara, honestly, I was expecting that he'll pick up Lara.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the most stylish players, stylish
Yeah.
left-handed players. We when we talk about left-handed batters, we talk about how good they look while
Elegance.
playing. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Elegance style. And Lara just was like
Personifies that.
personifies that. Yeah.
And Rangana Herath again, of course, one of the best spinners from Sri Lanka after Muralidharan. So, and I think spinners is one area where we don't have as many options. So I got to give it to you that you picked up Rangana Herath. Otherwise, he would have been on my list as well. But anyways, now coming to my two choices, I definitely want to beef up my bowling now and look at who can support Wasim Akram. I want to pick up Shakib Al Hassan as one
Hmm.
of my all rounders, someone who is a solid batter and can also bowl spin really well on his day. So that is one of my picks. The other pick is Mitchell Johnson.
Hmm. That's some fire.
True, and fire is what I'm looking for. Fire and destruction. I told you that's the theme around which I'm
Hmm.
building my team. Johnson again is one of the most feared bowlers from probably the last decade. So I
Yeah.
want him in my team, and I'm happy with that. So now over to you.
Yeah, Johnson is one that I knew that it would come down to Johnson and Stark. And both of us will not have both the Mitchells. That's what I thought that just a human way of thinking. I think Johnson played 73 test matches, has some 300 odd wickets, but I think in the latter part in the Ashes he was so fearsome. He could bowl those fiery spells and everything. I'm also now looking at fast bowlers. I'll actually go for Mitchell Stark. Stark has, I think, pretty lengthy career, 350 plus wickets, and has got, I think, slightly better average than Johnson as well. And he can be wayward, but I think the wobble ball in the last few years has really held him, and he's a wicket taker. You are not looking for economy from him. He's looking for a wicket taker. So I go for Mitch Stark, and he can come at number 8 and make some useful runs for me as well. Uh, so Mitch Stark is one pick. Uh, I will look at middle order again now, and there are many options and some classic options waiting out there from back in the past. You have players like Graham Pollock, who did not played a lot of test matches, but had an average of 60 or 61, and Garfield Sobers said about him that he was the best cricketer he had seen along with Don Bradman. So there are options like that. There are options like Ganguly, David Carr, who Ganguly said Carr was his favorite batsman. So both very elegant through the offside and everything. So there are many options coming out there. This is not easy. Or I can look at another all-rounder like Ben Stokes, for example, just for some clutch play. But I'm not so enthused by Ben Stokes' form in India.
But also, just to add, Ganguly and Ben Stokes can't bowl for you, just in case you pick them because
Yeah,
both of them bowl
that's a nice
right-handed.
one. That's a nice one. Yeah, yeah. So I would possibly look at Alan Border at my number five. He's a captaincy material as well, and some 11,000 runs, average of around 50, and he's one of the rare players who averages more away than home. He averages around 57 away and 49 or 50 at home. Whenever Australia were losing a lot of series in the 1980s, they lost series against Pakistan, New Zealand, of course, against West Indies. He was still averaging in the 60s. Tough, gritty cricketer. Um, and as I said, he's a captain. 11,000 runs, you don't make that if you aren't a legend. So Alan Border as my second pick alongside Mitchell Stark. So two Aussies in this round for me.
I got to give it to you. Alan Border is an amazing pick. I think he really strengthens your middle order, and definitely a good captaincy candidate. A very aggressive captain at that. Plus, again, back in the day, Alan Border and Gavaskar were the only two players who scored more than 10,000 runs, and those are the two players who are on the name of the series that is going on, Border Gavaskar Trophy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a tip of the hat to
yeah,
BGT.
absolutely. Yeah. So that's an amazing pick. Now, when I look at my team, I have a strong top three. I have a good all rounder in Shakib. I have the best seam bowling, swing bowling, left hander in Wasim Akram. I have a Mitchell Johnson in my team, but there are a few areas that I want to strengthen. One is around the spin department, and then I'm looking at a middle order, and I'm also looking at a captain. So this is where I go with a vibe pick. I will go with Clive.
Shakib could captain for you, man. He will pick up fights with Buckner and Benson if they
Giving
are umpiring. If
wrong decisions. Yeah,
yeah, and
absolutely.
we
No,
will
but I.
plug in the Buckner. We will plug in the Buckner Benson episode again for the viewers.
But on that note, SS, I go with someone who was very calm and calculated. I have fire in the team, but then I want to match it with ice. So I go with Clive Lloyd, who is very calm,
Oh,
calculated, probably one of the best captains of all time. At least got to be in the top three, four. Captain one of the most successful West Indies team. Made a lot of tactical changes in the team, which drove the team towards success, like building a team around fearsome pace. So that is one player that I want, and who can bat at number five for me. And plus, he also has a fairly good record with the bat. So he is one. Now, for the second option, I am actually quite tempted to look at someone like Dan Vettori, who can again bowl and bat for me. But I feel I want someone who can actually be a specialist spinner for me. So I actually am quite intrigued, and I want to look at Bishan Singh Bedi. So
mm.
that is another option for me. Now I'm actually looking at who are the options that I can pick from. So Dan Vettori, Bishan Singh Bedi. If I have to look at some batters in the middle order, lower middle order, I can actually look at Ben Stokes, Saurav Ganguly, Shiv Narayan Chanderpaul. These are some solid picks. And even Andy Flower, he can also keep for me, but can also bat. Someone
Andy
like.
Flower, I thought that Andy Flower was going to be the supposed pick of yours because I took away Gilchrist, but then I completely blanked on Sangakkara and keeping. Andy Flower is actually a very good pick, almost has the same average as Gilchrist, made probably same amount of runs. If you look for an inferior team, it's not a bad pick, AB.
Yeah, but then I think I want to go with another pace bowler. I can then create a team combination where I have another spinner who also bats for me. But right now, I'm really looking at another pace bowler. because I feel for other areas of the team we have a lot of options. We just went through the options for the middle order, and I think there are multiple options. If you pick some, I can pick someone else. And plus, if I look at your team, you have already filled up your middle order, so I don't need to worry about the middle order.
Yeah.
One place where you are still lacking is the pace bowling department, and I want to steal another pick from you on that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So um, I will actually go with Chaminda Was
Hmm. Very
as
nice.
so he would be super useful with the new ball. Wasim, Akram, and Chaminda Was coming with the new ball at you. If the pitch is supporting them, if the conditions are overcast, they're just going to rattle out your batsman. So he's actually my third pacer. So those are my two picks, as Clive Lloyd and Chaminda Was. What about you?
Yeah, expected you to look after a fast bowler as well because that's one area in my team where I had a gap and I was taking a risk over there. Chaminda was very solid pick, home conditions, away conditions, can reverse as well, takes wickets up front as well. Very nice, very good bowler. Um, I have some gaps in my top order, but I know that you have filled them, so I'm a bit safe there. And I'm looking at then two of the fast bowlers, but I know that you have a batting spot as well remaining, but probably, sorry, bowling spot still remaining, but you will probably go for a spinner. But good time to fill in. I will actually go with Alan Davison as my fast bowler. I checked on his records. He played in the 50s and 60s, and the records check came after Bumrah went sub 20 in the averages recently. And we were looking at who are the other ones. And this guy played 44 test matches, 186 wickets, an average of 20, an economy of 1.97, left arm fast medium, and a left-handed slogger of sixes down the order. So he gives me a batting option. He's categorized as an all-rounder, and he's crazy. He has got just crazy numbers in 50s and 60s. One of the best exponents of swing and seam in the late 50s and 60s. Wish he could have played more test matches. But Alan Davidson, just on the basis of statistics and what I read about him, I think he averaged 25 with the bat down the order. So that's not bad. And his bowling average is 20. That's great. That's awesome. So Alan Davidson of Australia comes down for me at probably at number nine, or he can just interchange with Starc at eight. So I'm left with one fast bowler and one opener and number three. Interestingly, I've not looked at batting that much. I'm looking at some of the opening options that I've got. I will go with Graham Smith as my second opener. Tremendous uh, record as a captain, of course, captain for 108 test matches. So he's a captaincy material for me. Incredible 65 average in England. Made runs everywhere. Is a tough, gritty cricketer. When his hand got broken, he still came out to bat against Mitchell Johnson. So if Mitchell Johnson is causing problems to Lara in my team, then he will still come out and bat. And has made runs. I think averages around 48 or something. Made some 8,000 close runs. I think he's a good pick. So Smith for me as my second opener alongside Cook. So very modern opening partnership for me. And Alan Davidson at number nine, a very back to the past historical pick as my second one. So now it's over to you. I believe you are looking for a spinner and a couple of middle order guys, right?
True. But first, I got to say, SS Davidson definitely wasn't on my radar. I never looked through his stats,
Yeah.
and a lot of research that you have done around this SS. You have gone deep into the history books to make
You
your
were
team.
you are trouncing me in the fantasy 11, so I thought at least I'll make a better draft 11 than you.
And Smith, of course, a solid batter. Always loved him as a captain. One of the longest standing captains for South Africa and one of the most successful at that. So definitely a good pick. Now, when I am looking at my team, I have eight players. I have a top order, middle order. I have Clive Lloyd. I have an all rounder in Shakib. I have three really good pace bowlers. Now, I want to bolster my batting and pick up a spinner. When I look at a spinner, I can either look at an all rounder or a specialist spinner. But since we are making a team for all conditions, I want to pick up a specialist spinner. but I also know that you have picked up that spinner, so I don't have to worry about that spot, at least
Hmm.
not as of now. So I think I'll go with a few batters.
I think you're looking for a number four,
True.
probably
And
because Lloyd probably bats at five for you.
five, correct.
And, and then you're looking at six because Shakib probably is not good enough for six, probably seven in this team. I don't know. What are you
So
thinking?
number four and number six. Chandrapal can be a good option for me. I can also look
Yeah, I
at
think it's a good
Ganguly.
number six. Very solid
Hmm,
number six, 10,000 plus runs.
true. Again, like before, I have not done research on the historical stats, so I don't know about David Gower as much. So
Mm,
I
very
think
elegant. So at least he would be averaging 100 if it came just to the elegance check.
true. I have another option in Tony Gregg, and he could
Yeah.
be an all-round option for me.
My mom used to mention that he used to be a very irritating batsman to watch and listen to on commentary on All India Radio. So that's my thing. But he could also bowl medium pace as well. So Tony Gregg was a very, again, critical cricketer and also had fine run in international cricket.
True. Another player that I can really look at to bolster my top order is Stephen Fleming, and who can also be a captaincy candidate for me. So I think I will go with Fleming as one option.
Interesting.
Fleming can slot in at number three, and then Sangakkara can be my number four.
Hmm.
The next player for me would definitely be a lower middle order batter, and I think again here I would go for a vibe pick again with Tony Gregg
Oh, wow.
coming at number six for
It's
me. So
unbelievable you looked over Chandrapal on this one.
I always want players who can do multiple roles for me. So I'll go with Tony Gregg on that.
It's very interesting that you went to Tony Gregg on this one.
Although I still remember now that you mentioned about Chandrapal, I remember those series that India played in West Indies, and Chandrapal would keep batting and batting for I don't know how many overs and days, would just keep us out in the field, and the match would then end up in a draw. But nonetheless, Chandrapal was out there batting for days.
But I also have checked Tony Gregg and some of his videos on YouTube. He bowled off spin as well as bowled medium, but both with his right hand, and he also batted with right hand. So don't try to fool me, AB, on this one that I did not research and I don't know about extricators. You could have done better on this one. So now you are back. You have to give me another option for number six, and maybe fate is telling you to pick Shiv Narayan Chandrapal to make your team at least compete with mine a bit better.
Okay, so I says I give it to you again, going back into the history books and researching everything to the T. So I cannot pick Tony Gregg. So yeah, I mean, I go with what you suggested. Shiv Narayan Chandrapal,
Hmm.
he is a solid batter. Over 10,000 runs, very gritty batter who can bat it out. I still remember all those series that India played against West Indies, and he would just keep
Yeah.
us out on the field for so many overs, hours, and God knows how many days. So
Yeah.
he is my number six.
Fantastic. So I think Shivnarine Chandrapal was somebody that I thought that I will definitely pick, and I could play him a bit higher up the order. But since you have taken up, I don't complain. I have got my final two picks coming up. I'm looking at a number 10 possibly and a number three. For my number 10, looking at options, I've got Zahir Khan in my mind, and I've got Trent Bolt in my mind. I think Trent Bolt as genuine swing, um, and up front, he picks up a lot of wickets. I think he's 350. I think he's around 320 wickets, if I'm not wrong. But one of the greatest fast bowlers coming out of New Zealand. I think he has more in the locker somehow feel than Zahir Khan. Zahir Khan pretty good with the old ball, and also reverse swing mastery as well. But I just feel that Trent Bolt has a bit up on Zahir. So Trent Bolt for me as my third fast bowler to complement Starc and Davidson. And for number three, now suddenly the options look very thin. David Garr is one option. Fleming could have been an interesting option for number three for me, but you took over. Um, I'm not looking out for any of the openers to come down at number three. I'm actually going to pick someone who I just mentioned some while back. I'm going to do small sample size, but I will love to have another Graham in my team. So Graham Pollock, average of 16, 23 test matches. As I mentioned, Sobus also also appreciated him. The apartheid came in and then he couldn't extend his career, but great record against England, great record versus Australia as well. Um, Number three for me is Graham Pollock, and Lara at four for me. So Pollock at three and Trent Bolt at 10. Those are my final picks. So AB, I give you the final pick before we get to name our 12th man.
So you have gone with all elegance in your 3 and 4 with Pollock and
Yeah,
Lara, and then aggression and grit in Alan Border, and then flair and Gilchrist. So I
yeah.
actually like your team on that. When it comes to my team SS, now that I can actually go two ways with it. I can pick a specialist spinner, or I can pick a spin bowling all rounder. I already have one in Shakib. I can either pick up one of Jadeja or Vettori, or I can go with a specialist in Bishan Singh Bedi. Bishan Singh Bedi, of course, one of the best spinners of his time, uh, a core part of the Indian spin quartet, troubled batters from everywhere when they visited India. An amazing economy of 2.14, an average which is slightly higher, around 28.7, given the contemporary game. But I feel I still want to go with Jadeja because he gives me a lot
Hmm.
with the bat. He's a genuine spinner in good spinning conditions. If the ball is turning, he will pick up wickets. One of the most difficult bowlers to actually face in India, and has been an integral part of India's dominance at home recently. So I go with Jadeja. So Shakib comes in at number 7 for me, Jadeja at 8, Wasim Akram at 9, Johnson at 10. So I feel I have a very strong take
And even
at
Chaminda Vas can bat.
Chaminda
So
Vas at 11, who
Vas can
can
bat.
bat as well.
Yeah.
So
I really like the
everyone,
composition of your lower middle order. I feel apart from Sangakkara, the other batsmen do not strike too much fear into me. I mean, they are all great batsmen and everything. But after number seven, the way that you have been able to get in Jadeja, because of the final pick that you had, it's very interesting. You did not go with a classical spinner, but I mean, Jadeja, 300 plus wickets. What do you complain? And so many runs as well. So it's had a very, very strong back core of your team. All right, there you have it, guys. I would now name the captain, wicketkeeper, and 12th man of my team before I pass it to you, AB. So, captain, I have options between Graham Smith. Cook also captain a lot. Uh, Gilchrist was the captain when Australia won series in India. But I will go with Alan Border. If he could guide Australia through the tumultuous 80s, it could guide this team as well. So, Border for me, the captain, wicketkeeper. Adam Gilchrist, no-brainer. My 12th man, after much reckoning, I will think Andy Flower as my 12th man.
so captain and wicket keeper was straightforward. I knew you would go with Alan Border and Gilchrist. I could anticipate that. Andy Flower as a 12th man is an interesting pick. Even when I was a child, I just started watching cricket in the 90s. I still remember Andy Flower and all these shots
Sweeping and
reverse
reverse
sweeping,
sweeping Kumle.
which was super irritating at that time. So I
Yeah.
remember Flower for that, but also I loved his batting. For me, I want to pick up a pace bowler, and
Hmm.
so I go with Zahir Khan as my 12th man.
Yeah. Interesting.
And for my captain, I go with Clive Lloyd. I told it before that I'm going with a captaincy pick when I select Clive Lloyd.
Yeah.
And wicket keeper is Kumar Sangakkara. So that's my
Yeah.
team. For
Perfect.
everyone SS, can you summarize your team?
Absolutely. So very modern opening for me. Alistair Cook and Graham Smith. In fact, people would have argued if it wasn't a draft pick, I would still have gone for those two names. Number three, Graham Pollock, legendary South African batsman. Number four, Prince of Trinidad, Brian Lara. Number five, my captain from Australia, Alan Border. Number six, the greatest cricketer to have played the game, Sir Garfield Sobers. Seven, the destructive Adam Gilchrist, acting as my wicketkeeper. Eight is Mitchell Starc. Nine, Alan Davidson from Australia. Number 10 is going to be Trent Bolt. Number 11, Rangana Herath. And my 12th man, Andy Flower. Over to you, AB.
So, as I said in the very beginning, my opening pair is Destruction personified. So, it's Sanjay Surya and Matthew Hayden, followed by Kumar Sangakkara, who also keeps for me and can accumulate so many runs. And Fleming, Clive Lloyd, who will be the captain for me, followed by Chandrapal. Then I have my all-rounders in Shakib Al Hasan and Jadeja, who are quality spinners and also quality batters. Then I have the swing king Wasim Akram, followed by Mitchell Johnson and Chaminda Was at number 11. My 12th man is Zahir Khan. So, SS, after we have created our teams, a quick take on my team. What is good, what is bad, what is ugly? What do you fear the most?
I fear the length of the batting that your team gets to. So it can really tire out my bowling on pitches where the assistance is not on the high side. Jadeja and Shakib really extend your batting, and Wasim Akram on his day can also smack a lot of runs. So the tail can really wag. That's the strongest part of your team. And if my bowlers don't get Jayasuriya and Hayden out quickly, it could really get ugly. Hayden, I know a tactic. I will just ask Stark and Bolt to come round the wicket and just get him just like in 2005 Ashes. He doesn't perform well, but essentially you have got an excellent lower middle order, and with Clive Lloyd's captaincy, it's a strong team. It's a really strong team. And I guess since I chose Gautam Gambhir as my left-handed coach, you could choose Gary Custon as your left-handed coach as well. So we will have some Indian flavor to it as well.
That's a good shout, SS. I honestly was thinking about who could captain for me. I thought maybe I would like to have Fleming captain, but then he's already in as a player. So I
Yeah.
guess Gary Kirsten is an excellent choice.
What about the team that I set up, baby?
I I think your one weak point would be our bowling. Honestly,
Hmm.
I don't know a lot about Davidson. He is
Hmm.
kind of a wild card from my perspective. Going by the stats,
Yeah.
he definitely seems like a strong bowler, a destructive bowler. But then overall, looking at the pace bowlers, it doesn't strike a lot of fear. But one
Yeah.
place where I think I've done a really good job is your middle order. Lara, Border, Gilchrist, and Gary Sobers. You got to pick the best all rounder in the world, so that is a big strength of your team. Plus, even Cook and Smith are amazing batters, and you have a solid batting lineup. So that is one area of your team which is very strong.
Hmm. All right, guys, we'll put a poll out there in the publication that whose team do you prefer, and if you missed out on any big names. But that was all for today. Thank you for supporting the podcast and spreading the word. Keep doing so, and we'll be publishing every episode every week. And also, there will be a bonus pod as we do midweek as well. So, thank you guys, and take care. Bye bye.